What is going on, everybody? What is going on? Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday to everybody. This will be an interesting show, huh? Should be an entertaining show. The hell happened last night? Still trying to figure that out. I appreciate everybody being a part of the show. Thank you very much for being here. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot going on today. I mentioned, what did I mention? I think I mentioned last night I was going to be out here at the Wallace Firm. So I was coming out to their podcast studio that they have. So we'll do the show from here. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, their hospitality. Grab the nice cup of coffee waiting for me. So we're all good to go on that. If you got comments today, which I'm sure a lot of people will have some comments today, feel free to put it in. I'll try to make this show, sometimes I think you got shows that are in the morning and it might be a little bit more interactive just because, people got an opinion. They got a lot to say. So this might be one of those shows. So I really, really encourage everybody. If you got some comments or some thoughts, we'll highlight them as the show goes on. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got for today. What the hell happened last night? My God, what is going on with this squad? How pathetic was that yesterday? How bad was that? I don't know what you want to call it. Worst loss of the season. I'm sure they probably have another loss as bad as that, but pretty damn close. I'll tell you what, there's a short list of some pretty bad L's for the Lakers. I think that one's pretty close on it. Here's a rundown of what we got going on for the show tonight. Sheesh. Looking at some of the comments coming in right now. We'll talk about the actual game. Obviously some of the things that stood out. I was frustrated for a number of reasons yesterday, but I don't know why I felt like the L came and it was more of a casual loss, it felt like, rather than the sky is falling, because I did think it was one of the sky is falling type of losses. A lot of things happened in that game, and it has nothing to do with the final play. It has nothing to do with, they just lost one yesterday. If they could have only grabbed that one. It's a critical loss. There's a lot of losses that, right now the Lakers are piling up. Not all losses are created equal, and I don't think that loss is certainly created as equal as some of the other ones that they have. We'll get into the actual game. JJ Redick. I got some clips of JJ Redick post-game. Some of the clips I don't really fully understand, if I'm being honest with you. I think some of the clips to me, they confused me. I'm not sure his angle. I'm not sure what he's doing on the floor right now. I'm not sure why his players give, it seems like 50, 60, maybe 70% effort on a night in, night out basis. I think we should have a conversation about JJ Redick. I think that's safe to say. I think if there's a time to do it, today is the right day to have a conversation about JJ Redick. I don't think it's looked good for JJ over this, stretch of games, 11 and 13 over their last 24, I want to call it. Their struggles against teams over 500. How much of that is on JJ Redick? Again, we'll play some of his post-game sound from yesterday. I was a little confused by some of the post-game stuff we heard from JJ yesterday. Want to have a conversation about Austin Reaves. I want to have a conversation about Deandre Ayton. The Ayton conversation, let me just put it this way. I think this will help with the Ayton conversation, just to kind of clarify some things. I take Clint Capella in a heartbeat over Deandre Ayton right now. Right now. I'm not even talking about in his career. I'm not talking about his best versus his best. If you told me right now, do you want Clint Capella or Deandre Ayton, I will personally drive Deandre Ayton wherever he wants to go. So the conversation that we were having about Deandre Ayton, or the Ayton quotes about Clint Capella, I would take Clint Capella over Deandre Ayton in a heartbeat. Did he play last night? Is Deandre Ayton part of this Lakers team? A minus 24, 2 points and 4 rebounds. I think that was his stat line. We'll have a conversation about Ayton. I feel like I can't even wait to have that conversation. I'm already having it. We'll have a chatter about DeAndre. You know what my favorite thing is about DeAndre Ayton is that basically you have to do all these other things for him to give max effort. That sounds like a great employee to have on your team. So let me get this right about DeAndre Ayton. You got to feed him. You got to make sure he's getting the ball. You got to make sure he's doing this. Get A, B, C, and D done for DeAndre Ayton, and then there'll be some angles there. that Deandre Ayton can do something for you. That sounds like a phenomenal employee that you want to have on your team. Lakers in danger of the play-in tournament. That loss to the Phoenix Suns, I mentioned that not all losses are created equal. That loss yesterday to the Phoenix Suns, that's a critical one. Phoenix now has the tiebreaker over you. They now move within a game without Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks. They move in within a game to the Lakers. Listen, I still don't think the Lakers are going to make the play-in. I still think they're going to be in front of the play-in tournament. I think they'll still be top 6. But I also thought they were going to beat the Orlando Magic. I also thought they were going to beat the Phoenix Suns. So what the hell do I know? Lakers and the so Lakers do have 2 games over the weekend. So they're going to keep stacking up these games. Lakers and the Warriors coming up on Saturday. Lakers and the Kings, they'll host the Kings coming up on Sunday. So we got a couple of games to get into. NBA news, weekend preview, and we'll get out of here. I'm going to try to have Brad come join us for maybe the last 10 minutes of the show, Brad Wallace, and we'll get his opinion, his thoughts. You guys know that he obviously knows his basketball, knows his Lakers basketball. We'll get his thoughts on what's going on with the Lakers and how they turn things around. Let me take a look at a couple of the comments here before we get started, and we'll go from there. DeAndre, oh my God, this guy. I mean, calls out Clint Capella. What are you calling out Clint Capella? What have you done in order to be calling out another center in the NBA? I don't know what to tell you guys. All right, let me see a couple of these here. I'm going to give myself I'm going to hallucinate here. Let's see what we got here. I missed the game last night and I'm embarrassed by it. You did something great for yourself. You did something great for yourself by missing last night's game. Redick should have put Vando in there on that last Phoenix possession, but no, he keeps the 2 cones in there. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this a little bit in the postgame show yesterday. I talked a little bit about, there's going to be times where you got your best offensive players in a game. There's going to be times you got your best defensive players in a game. I don't disagree with you. I mean, the Lakers, Phoenix was very wisely hunting Luka Doncic wherever he was. That's what you should be doing. And he was doing that. Let me get a couple more comments here before we start. Buenos dias, Slee. Here for the Lakers support group to voice our frustration and concerns. Well, let's just say there will be no problem with that platform today. It is the worst loss of the season. Luka Lakers, weakest link on defense. All right, that's I think people are. Sometimes I come on the chat, especially on a Friday. People are like, "Hey, Sliwa, I just wanted to say good morning." Hey, you know what? Just wanted to let you know. Hope you have a great show. Hey, Sliwa, how's your coffee? Is the coffee pretty good? Hey, Sliwa, I'm having a cup of coffee too. Cheers to you. Not this morning. No. People are, everybody's going to start fighting with each other. Everybody going after each other. All right, let's get the show started. Please subscribe to the channel if you guys don't, mind subscribing. I greatly appreciate that. A lot of angles to take from yesterday's game. And if you listen to my post-game show, awesome. If you didn't, all good. We'll kind of rehash some of the stuff from yesterday. But I have on here worst loss of the season. There's a couple of reasons why I would say it. And this is not about one game. I think, for the Lakers right now, I think the bigger frustration with Lakers basketball, it's not like, hey, here's a bad game here or there, and you kind of start scratching your head and you say to yourself, okay, you know what? It happens in the NBA. It's an 82-game grind, whatever the case is. The reason why last night, there's a lot of reasons why it was just such a bad loss. Let me point out the obvious ones. The obvious ones are Phoenix is basically missing not just 3 stars. I don't know if Jordan Goodwin starts for them or he doesn't. But I know Jordan Goodwin's a nice player for them. And obviously Laker fans know him from his time in L.A., his time with the Lakers. But you got the Jordan Goodwin piece. Okay, fine. He's out. You got Devin Booker, one of the elite players in the NBA that's not playing for the Phoenix Suns. You got Dylan Brooks, who's kind of the heart and soul of that team. If you told me one of those guys were playing, then maybe this is a different conversation. But that's obviously that's not the case. And as we watched last night's game, one of the reasons why this is the worst loss of the season is because they're so undermanned. All right, there's one. By the way, I should not just kind of throw that to the side like, all right, well, they're missing Dylan Brooks and they're missing Devin Booker. Let's just throw that to the side. The reason why last night's game was the worst loss of the season, or one of the worst loss of the season, it's because you're already kind of cratering here over this last month. You got all your guys that are available. Clearly, the Phoenix Suns don't have all their players. You're already coming off a loss to the Orlando Magic and the Boston Celtics. The Celtics game, you get embarrassed. The Orlando Magic game, you need to win that game at home. And they got a couple of pieces missing as well. This game against the Phoenix Suns was not only supposed to be an ass kicking by the Lakers. This should be a 15-point game going into the fourth quarter. You actually had a 12-point lead early in the game, and it went away like that, just as if the Lakers had no lead at all. You're walking into the fourth quarter. I remember this vividly. I'm sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, and I think if I'm right on the score, I think it was 80-80. And I'm saying to myself, I'm like, they're walking into this game. I mean, I'm already going to rip the team, but I know they're going to end up winning this game because they're not going to lose to the Phoenix Suns with Grayson Allen and Colin Gillespie as the two best players on the opposing side. What made last night's game the worst loss of the season is, forget who was playing in the game for a second. Forget, what's happened over these last couple of games. You're desperate for a win. You need a win. You got all your guys available. If LeBron, Luka, and AR are there, if Deandre Ayton is throwing out some stupid quotes before the game or a couple of games before, I know the article came out yesterday, basically asking, feed me the ball, and if you take care of me, I'll take care of you. Marcus Smart is there. Vando's available. Jake LaRavia. Everybody's available but Rui Hachimura. And you not only have a close battle against the Phoenix Suns, you lose. I don't know what to tell you, but I thought for me, as I title that game and I continue to title it, there's the kind of the small picture and there's the big picture with the Lakers. The small picture of that one game against the Phoenix Suns is, unfortunately, it's a terrible label for the Lakers. And maybe I'm the one screwing up here. I got to stop being so surprised about some of these Laker losses. I really do. And if you look at some of the stats here, I am assessing the Lakers wrong because they're 11-13 in their last 24 games, which is 25% of the season. You're a couple games below 500. They're 11-16 against teams over 500. Yesterday was another L against a team over 500. Granted, Phoenix don't have the players that got them over 500. They went 4-4 on their homestand, which I think should raise some concern in itself. You have an 8-game homestand, and this is where you're supposed to do damage. They go 4-4. They've lost 3 games in a row. Can I name off all the players that have not played in these last 3 games that the Lakers have gone up against? Jason Tatum, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, big-time stars of the opposing team, and the Lakers have lost all those games. I got to stop being surprised that the Lakers are losing games. Maybe this is just who they are. Even if you're taking on a Phoenix Sun. You know what Phoenix did? You know what Phoenix did yesterday? They did something that the Lakers have a really, really difficult time with. And maybe I should be sympathetic sympathetic to the Lakers. Here's what Phoenix did yesterday, which could have really thrown off the Lakers, and maybe this justifies the loss. They play hard. They care. They're coached well. They run plays. They set screens. They move on defense. They switch when they need to. They roll up their sleeves. They do kind of those basic things that are kind of, important in any occupation that you have. And maybe I'm the idiot for thinking that the Lakers were going to do that against the Phoenix Suns yesterday. I got a clip that I want to play here. JJ Redick after the game had something to say. And I got to be honest with everybody. Everybody can help me fully understand what JJ Redick is referencing to, and then we could kind of switch gears to the JJ Redick side of things, who has not had a good month for JJ Redick. And I think there's, some listeners that have been on here that have always kind of questioned, JJ Redick, and I'm not sure about this, I'm not sure about that. This last month or so, I think has raised some questions up, at least for me, from a JJ Redick perspective, because a lot of the teams that the Lakers are losing against, it's not that they're more talented than the Lakers, because they're not more talented. They just play harder. They work harder. They're more strategic. They run more plays. They're more connected on defense. All the basic things that you need. Okay, if we get a chance here, I'd like to play this clip of JJ Redick from last night in the post game, and he's talking. I know it's Dan Wyke that he's talking to. Let's take a quick listen here, and if we can get it up. If we can't get it up, it's all good. But I want to take a listen here to the JJ Redick piece of things, and I'll actually try to do this. See if I could play it myself here. Let me try to do this here. So this is JJ, and this is specifically on kind of talking a little bit about the Lakers' loss, what happened, and everything else. Take a quick listen to JJ Redick.
Like our losses are louder than other teams because we're the Lakers.
By the way, what does that mean? Our losses are louder than other teams. Like, what does that have anything to do with you getting beat against the Phoenix Suns, a squad and a team that should not be in the same conversation as you because of some of the people that they're missing? Why are you pointing out that your losses are bigger than? How about it's just a bad loss, period? It's a bad loss if you're the Spurs, if you're the Thunder, if you're the Rockets, if you're the Nuggets. What does that have to do with the Lakers? Like, I have no idea what that connection is. Our losses are louder because we're the Lakers. Your loss is loud because it's a bad loss. Okay, yes, the Lakers have something to do with it. It's a franchise. People love talking about them. It's always a conversation. They're always, one of the top stories. But can you not bring that up yesterday? What does that have to do with anything about that loss to the Phoenix Suns? Keep taking a listen.
And because of the way we lose, you get this deep in the season. And again, tonight was a one possession clutch game, which, now we've, lost a few of those. But we've been great for the most part in the clutch all year. Our losses are louder. I would say, so we had some adversity tonight. Did we not respond?
I think after, yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's go back because I think this was a good exchange, I think, with Dan Wyke, and I like the exchange, and JJ's got every right to obviously protect his team and everything else, but what he's asking here is he's now throwing it back to Dan Wyke. Don't you think we responded? Let me play it because I got a thought on that. Again, I'm not really 100% sure the angle.
We had some adversity tonight. Did we not respond?
I think after, yeah, definitely. I think
you're not going to avoid adversity
for sure. But I mean, I think maybe it's quicker. Maybe it's a next play mentality, more of that. I just kind of it's not just a full on tonight issue.
I thought our guys were great with that tonight. I mean, there's basketball's a game of mistakes, and we made mistakes, just like I make mistakes.
I'm gonna stop it there. I don't think there's really much more that we got to listen to. I think the piece that he said, the thing that sticks out to me the most, by the way, that's coming from Spectrum Sportsnet, of course, coming from there. I think the piece that sticks to me the most is the piece of him kind of really trying to protect and justify that the Lakers faced some adversity yesterday. And, at some point, I think dug themselves a hole by 10 or so. And Luka kind of single-handedly brought the Lakers back. And Austin Reaves gets a 3 to tie the game. And LeBron comes back and gets an offensive rebound to tie the game. And I think, if I'm correct here, what JJ Redick was trying to explain to Dan Wyke and to everybody else was that Lakers faced some adversity like they have in other games. And he was kind of like, well, you don't think we responded? Here's the problem that I have with that. Adversity to me is not the definition that JJ Redick was just explaining. Why are you down 10 or 12 against the Phoenix Suns? Do you want fans to give credit to the Lakers for coming back down 10 or 12 against the Phoenix Suns without Devin Booker and without Dylan Brooks? I mean, I don't really understand what he wants, a fan base or wants somebody else to say. No, I don't think you had adversity last night that you surpassed. Why are you creating that adversity for yourself to begin with? So I'm having a difficult time. And listen, maybe JJ right now is frustrated. Maybe he's feeling some heat because of the way the Lakers are playing. Maybe JJ is looking at his roster and saying to himself, God, I cannot find a combination of players that make sense, that look good, that, make him look good. Clearly the Lakers they have none of that continuity right now at all. But with that in mind, I go back to this. I don't know why he's kind of the challenge there of, well, you don't think, we're responding to adversity? No, you're not. Of course you're not responding to adversity. What adversity have the Lakers had over this last 30 days where you're saying to yourself, damn, you know what? When the going gets tough, the Lakers freaking get going. What adversity had the Lakers have? They had some adversity early on. They had some injuries. Sure. I mean, all that stuff. And I think a lot of teams have faced some of that adversity as well. But are we supposed to give the Lakers credit for coming back for 10 or 12 points yesterday against the Phoenix Suns? Was that the angle? When I heard that last night, I had a very difficult time kind of understanding what that was. I'll stay on JJ Redick here for a quick second, and then I want to read some of the comments here so we can continue to roll. The bottom line for me is JJ Redick is getting outcoached every single night. That's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that other teams are running more plays. They're drawing up more plays. They're more creative with their plays. They're not as predictable as the Lakers are. They're connected on the defensive side. They have certain lineups that look better than others. I think there's definitely more of a, hey, we're all pulling the rope in the same direction. I think the Lakers are all over the place. They need hero ball from Luka Doncic, which is not a winning pedigree. I think key players like Austin Reaves seems a little bit lost. I think there are clear holes for the Lakers right now. There was some sound. I don't need to play it right now, but there was some sound, I think, before the game. JJ Redick was talking about a lineup where it was Luka, Austin, Jackson Reaves, Jake LaRavia, and Luke Kennard, and intentionally not having LeBron on the floor with Luka and Austin. I think whatever your game plan has been, whatever it's looked like in the past, whatever you thought this Lakers team was going to be, I got to play this guy. There's politics here. This guy has to start. They got to blow all that up. They don't have a combination of players right now that makes sense. There's nothing free flowing. There's nothing that I think JJ Redick is touching, and you're like, well, that's going to work. They got to blow everything up here a little bit. They got to try some different things. Whatever you've done in the past, I think they got to go away from. I think they got to stop playing the politics game. If there's a player not doing his job, then that player needs to sit on the bench. If there's a player that's just going to give you just sheer effort, then let that player play a little bit more. But, man, I'm not finding an angle for the Lakers to give them some credit because of some adversity yesterday against the shorthanded Phoenix Suns. That one was kind of a tough one to swallow, and that one was a tough one to understand. All right, let's do this. We'll take a look at some of the comments. Obviously, we got plenty of angles here that we're going to take, but if somebody wants to sell me on what JJ Redick was trying to sell yesterday, I'm all ears. But I don't understand what they were trying to sell right there. None of that, made sense to me personally. But again, that's one man's opinion here. All right, as we get ready to look at some of the comments, let's give a shout out to one of our partners. We're here in their studios, the hospitality from Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Shout out to them down here in Encino. They can help anybody in the state of California. I've told you guys this before. He's the best in the business. It's one of those things where you never want to see yourself or a family member or a friend in a position where, obviously you run into a situation where you need an injury attorney, you need somebody, you need legal advice, but things happen in life and there's nothing you could do about it other than being prepared or other than having somebody that can guide you in the right direction. That's what Brad Wallace and his team does. You go to the website, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All you got to do is just go to that website. Once you're there, it's very simple. You get a free consultation. Let somebody get in touch. I've had people hit me up on Instagram. I've had people directly reach out to Brad Wallace, people that are on this channel. Again, I hope you don't need him. Things happen. If you do need him, he'll be there for you. His firm will be there to help, certainly help you and guide you in the right direction. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. That's wallacewins.com/Sliwa. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see what we got here. Let's see what people are saying here. JJ PR spinning his way through his inadequate. Yeah, let me say this. If I'm JJ Redick yesterday, this is all I'm saying. Guys, this is a disappointing loss. This is on me. Our players got to be better. I have to be better. The coaching staff has to be better. We have no excuses for this loss. We're going to come back ready to go, and we're going to do everything we can to get the ship heading in the right direction again. Luckily for us, we started the season out well, but right now we're not playing good basketball, and it's up to us to figure it out. We're going to do everything we can to figure it out. But you don't have to look any further than me. That's what JJ should be saying. And there should be nothing left in that conversation. He takes things personal, and it's funny because sometimes he comes into a post-game show, and maybe this is part of his development. He doesn't want to be so, the highs are too high, the lows are too low. Yesterday, I wanted him to be absolutely kind of ripping into everything, and I didn't get any of that. Let's get another one here. JJ forgot he wasn't on the Game of Mind podcast. It's a bad look for him this last 30 days or so. It has been more than that, 45 days. And I get it. They've had some injuries, but let's stop with the injury thing. They're fully healthy right now. They were fully healthy when they got their asses kicked by the Boston Celtics. They were fully healthy when they lost to the Orlando Magic at home in a game that, you really needed to respond based off of how you played against the Boston Celtics. And then yesterday, they were fully healthy minus Rui Hachimura, who really hasn't done all that much over this last couple of weeks or so since he came back from his injury, at least since the All-Star break. They were fully healthy playing against the Phoenix Suns. Not a good look for JJ Redick. I had somebody yesterday hit me up on Twitter saying, well, you're putting too much on JJ. Sometimes it's is it the players? Is it the roster? Whatever the case is, you can make your case of where you want to point your direction on, but what you can't do is pretend like the coach has nothing to do with it. Let's get some more in here. If the stats show the three of them not working together, why won't JJ have LeBron coming off the bench? It's like venom for him to do so. Why is he trying to force something that doesn't work? Politics, I think. I think there's politics there. By the way, I don't know if I'm bringing LeBron off the bench. I'd rather bring Reaves off the bench. Like I said, whatever your game plan has been up until this point, throw that game plan away. It ain't working. I mean, it's so critical now with a handful of games left. What do they have? Probably 24 games left, I think is the number. With 24 games left in the season, it is much more important for the Lakers to be figuring out what combinations work than worried about, well, this guy's worried about his contract next season, this happening. What if this happens next year? And you know what? Is this player going to get mad? Who gives a, what? Who cares? You're trying right now to survive if you're the Lakers. You're trying to find what those combinations are that do work. You're trying to figure out over this last stretch of games, which is going to be the most, obviously this most important. We're going to be into March here in the next couple of days. Once you get to March 1st, it's the last full month you have before you get into the playoffs. So I don't think any of that stuff should matter. Let's see what we got here. The team has no pride, no heart. This starts with coaching. They're not disciplined or consistent for 4 quarters. Not arguing that one. All right, let's get another one here. Can we have Jackson in the starting lineup and Jake or Vando need two players who know their roles in the starting lineup but not looking for shots? I'm completely okay with that. I think there's something to that as well. I think by having, your starting lineup, you got guys that understand their role, guys that are high energy, guys that want to play defense. And then what you could also do, I think that will help your bench as well. If Austin Reaves is coming off the bench, you got kind of a head of a snake that listen, Austin Reaves is at his best when he's got the ball in his hands. So is Luka. And you can argue LeBron, I mean, obviously for his entire career, that was when he's at his best. Now, obviously, he's made a lot of adjustments to his career. But you got 3 of the same guys that need the ball in their hands. I've already seen all these different stats about Luka, AR, LeBron, when these guys are together. Brian Windhorst was saying yesterday, I got a clip I'll play for from Brian Windhorst in a little bit as well. But Windhorst basically saying something to the effect of like, yeah, they're not a good team when these 3 guys are playing together. Scrap whatever you had in the past and just start, obviously paying attention to what you can do moving forward and how to fix it. You can't keep going back to the same thing and think something's going to change. It ain't going to change. It's just not. And by the way, teams have figured you out. They know how to play you. They know the style that you don't like playing. Lakers don't like to, muddy the water. Only a few players. Vando doesn't mind it. Marcus Smart doesn't like it, doesn't mind it. I think Jake LaRavia likes playing that style. Everybody else for the Lakers, they don't want to get pushed around. They don't want any of that stuff. 56 games in and Lakers are still with a negative differential, which I think would be the only playoff team that actually that falls on. So something to do with that. We'll read one more here, and then we'll kind of change gears here to another topic. Austin Reaves needs to come off the bench. Okay, let's talk Austin Reaves here for a quick second, because I think Austin Reaves is worth its own conversation. And then I want to spend some time on Deandre Ayton, and then we'll, obviously we'll go from there. Let me talk Reaves here. Here's the Reaves thing that I'll just say this. I think Reaves is a really good player. I think Reaves, like I said a little bit earlier, we had this conversation during the beginning of the season. Austin Reaves was putting himself in his position where he probably would have been an all-star. Now, how many of those games were with Luka and with LeBron? I think it has something to do with, there were a lot of those games too where Austin Reaves just got to cook. Here's the one thing that I'll just point out, and I think something kind of important to keep in mind here as we talk Austin Reaves the rest of the season. I'm very curious how Austin Reaves does the rest of the way. I'm very curious. And I'm curious how effective Austin Reaves is. I'm curious what Austin Reaves looks like with Luka and how those minutes look together. I'm not as concerned of LeBron, Luka, and AR, because I just think the LeBron piece, I do feel like, based on what a lot of other people feel as well, that page will eventually get churned by you get to the offseason. But I think Austin Reaves, that combo with him and Luka, what he looks like, how effective he is when those two players are on the floor. Austin Reaves he's kind of entering a weird stage of the season. He's not playing nearly as good. He has not been as effective. Feels like he needs the ball in his hands. Nothing kind of is flowing the way it should flow. He does not look like he did at the beginning of the season. And there's I don't know if a trial run is very important here, but Austin Reaves obviously is supposed to get a big payday by the time you get to the offseason. Well, what if Austin Reaves continues to play kind of up and down the way he has? And what if he's not just this really effective player come the postseason? Well, what happens then? What's Austin Reaves' value by then? Listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think they need to re-sign Austin Reaves because I'd rather have that asset than not have that asset. But his stock with the Lakers and his stock in the NBA, I think it's so critical what these final 24 games looks like and what he's able to do in the playoffs. He hasn't looked good. For whatever reason, Austin Reaves has not looked good. So I don't think there's anybody that could be sitting here, whether you're the biggest Austin Reaves fan or you cannot stand Austin Reaves, whatever your angle is on Austin Reaves, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. This is a critical moment for Austin Reaves, and it's a critical moment for the Lakers as well. Because if you want to pair Austin Reaves and Luka together, I get it. They're going to change so many other elements to the team, and we'll see what happens with the rest of the roster. But Reaves has not looked good. He has not. Since he's come back, he's been okay. He's had some moments where he's looked good. Nothing has really, like I said, looked very organic with some of the different players that he's playing with, specifically with Luka. And then, listen, I'm not telling you that the LeBron piece doesn't, mix everything up here and make it a little bit tougher, but I really, really think the Austin Reaves piece of this is going to be interesting to watch the rest of the way, and we can go from there. So this is something to keep in mind. I was yesterday in the post-game show, I was reading off his last 5 games. His stats, I think he had one game, maybe the game against the Clippers where he had 28 or 29, something like that. But a lot of his other games, he's scoring below 20 points. And if he's not, and it's not like he's out there dishing out 8 or 10 dimes a game as well. So that Austin Reaves piece of things, it really needs to kind of hopefully improve itself as we get through the rest of the season. It's a critical time for Austin Reaves. It's a critical time for him. Not that he's going anywhere, but obviously the amount of money that's going to go to Austin Reaves, what they're going to pay him, all that is critical. I think I got. Yeah, I'm usually a 2 sneezer. If you get 1 sneeze in, you got another sneeze following up. We got 2 sneezes in there. It's live. What do you want me to do? Sometimes I got to sneeze. The weather is changing. You got allergies. All right, let's switch gears here. I want to point something out here. I think this is, I don't know how I waited 34 minutes to bring up Deandre Ayton. I'm going to see if we can do this here. See if we can get this up. Deandre Ayton had said something about Clint Capella. And we'll see if we can get the actual Instagram post up here. He said something about Clint Capella. And then Clint Capella responded yesterday. Okay. Can we scroll down a little bit so we could read exactly what he said? Here's the quote from Clint Capella or from Deandre Ayton. They're trying to make me Clint Capella. Yesterday, Clint Capella responded. We'll go back up here. Clint Capella's response. You got two of the best floor generals in the game, my dog. Lock in. Where do I start with Deandre Ayton? You know what? Let me do this. This is where I'm going to start. This is just going to be for my own information because I want to see Capella, or I don't want to see Capella. I want to see Deandre Ayton over these last handful of games. And let's just see, specifically how he's done in each one of these games. But there was an article yesterday that came out, and it was from, if you guys remember this, when I'm doing my show yesterday, The Conversation, there was an article on ESPN, and it was talking about Deandre Ayton, and Ayton had mentioned basically the piece of the conversation was, and let's keep this thing up on Clint Capella because I'm gonna go back to this. But the conversation was the Lakers, to be the best version of themselves, are going to need DeAndre. It was one of those kind of articles. Again, it came from McMenamin, and that's where this quote came from. And when I saw the quote, or when I saw the article yesterday, I'm like, yeah, maybe in October or November, if this article came out, I think it would be relevant. But I said yesterday to everybody, I'm like, this article doesn't do anything for me because I have no confidence in DeAndre Ayton. I got none. That's gone. If there was a time where you would say to yourself, he's got a lot of promise, he's going to be able to do a lot. What a year for him. He can kind of establish himself back into the NBA. He's going to get a big contract if he has a good season with the Lakers. I mean, that thing's been long gone for me. I literally, that doesn't even pop into my head anymore when I talk about DeAndre Ayton. Ayton last night against the Phoenix Suns, his former team that traded him, a game that the Lakers are desperate to get a W. DeAndre Ayton had 2 points and 4 rebounds in 23 minutes of play. And guys, he did something that is not easy. I'm going to give him some credit for this. He did something that I don't see very often. DeAndre Ayton was a minus 24 in just 23 minutes of play. That's impressive. That's impressive. If you're giving out game balls for one of the most awful performances that I've seen, I'm throwing out a game ball to DeAndre Ayton. And for the night before to have some type of quote about Clint Capella and saying they're trying to turn me into Clint Capella, taking a shot at a player, number one, said nothing to you. And number two, has had a pretty decent career in this league. Now, I'm not telling you he's a Hall of Famer. I'm not telling you he's Hakeem Olajuwon. But I'll tell you this. If you said, hey, Al, what do you think? Would you rather have DeAndre Ayton today or Clint Capella? I think if you're going to pick a name, don't pick a player that has more value than you today. I would take Clint Capella over DeAndre Ayton 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. What is he talking about? I mean, watching the DeAndre Ayton experience, I know Portland's paying most of that money. I get that. I know there was no risk when they brought him here. But my God, watching somebody with that skill set who's that irrelevant on the basketball floor is not fun to watch. This guy called out Clint Capella. What have you done this year to be calling out any other center in the NBA? How dumb does he look to be calling out another player when he's done nothing consistently for the Lakers? What has he done over the last 3 months for the Lakers? He's going to have a game where he drops 21 and 10. He's going to have one of those. He'll have a game when he gives you 18 and 8. Is it winning basketball? Is it consistent basketball? Of course it's not. I don't know what the hell Ayton was talking about. I still don't know the angle Ayton's taken here. And we could come off the screen now that's there. But Clint Capella last night, 4.6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 block shots for Clint Capella last night. Give me Clint Capella. Give me the guy that DeAndre Ayton is trying to downplay. Give me that guy over DeAndre Ayton any day of the week. He looks dumb. There was an article I'm going to read you. I saw it this morning because it was on the it was part of the New York Times. Why the internet is roasting the Lakers, Deandre Ayton. This was 2 hours ago that came out. And it kind of starts going into all the other stuff, starts talking about Clint Capella and everything else. God bless DeAndre Ayton, but I got some difficulty with his angle here. Whatever angle that he was trying to get here, he looks stupid. Again, like I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's see what people got here. Clint over Ayton all day, every day. Slee, I'm glad you acknowledge how bad Austin has been. Many other podcasters seem to ignore every time he disappoints and continues to call him an all-star. Well, I don't know. You know, listen, I got no problem giving credit. This now is not the time to give Austin Reaves credit. There was time to give Austin Reaves credit. He's struggling right now. I mean, yeah, he's struggling. I don't know what to tell you. He's struggling. Maybe it's the lineups. Maybe it's, you know, he's not the center point of the offense. Well, he's not going to be if Luka's there. Maybe there's other players around him. That's the problem. However you want to describe it, he's definitely struggling. Clint Capella game, a perfect response. By the way, Clint Capella also, just his response in general. He's kind of classy the way he did it. He's like, you got two of the best creators out there. Go take care of yourself. What are you throwing out? Again, I go back to this. If this was, you know, give me a player. If it's Anthony Davis in his prime and he looks, you know, unbelievable out there and he's got a problem with the way he's being used, that's a different conversation. You know, the other issue I got with DeAndre Ayton, and this is probably my biggest issue with Ayton. Again, I have zero expectations for DeAndre Ayton. This didn't happen yesterday. This didn't happen the day before. It's just DeAndre Ayton is telling us every single day, you cannot depend on me. Yesterday, Jackson Hayes' stats were so much better than DeAndre Ayton's. And Jackson Hayes is obviously coming off the bench and now kind of starting to play a little bit more equal minutes because JJ Redick is noticing like, all right, I can't rely on Ayton. My biggest issue with Ayton, I really, really have a problem with a player out there that's basically saying, if you want me to do this, you got to give me all of this. How about you just go out there and do whatever the team's asking you to do? Well, I'm not getting enough touches. Well, give them reasons to give you touches. How about go be a beast on the defensive side? Go be a beast on the glass. Go be a beast in other areas so the Lakers can then say, well, I mean, look what he's doing for us over there. Let's also take care of him on the other side. Instead, Ayton wants it the other way. You want me to be a beast on defense? You want me to block shots? You want me to grab rebounds? Feed me the ball on offense. Well, how's that going? Oh, DeAndre Ayton. Listen, I'm getting my first chance here. I'm getting my first chance to get the DeAndre Ayton experience. Listen, I've had people come on this show. If you guys remember, I had Bill Oram on, who covers the Portland Trailblazers. And let's just say he had a very strong take on DeAndre Ayton. Yesterday, I had Dwayne Rankin on, who covers the Phoenix Suns, been covering him since he was a rookie with the Phoenix Suns. He had some strong takes about the DeAndre Ayton experience. I'm just getting my first mix of it. And let's just say it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. Is that safe to say? A little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. Okay. I got something here that I want to play from Brian Windhorst. I'm going to do it in just a second. And then I want to talk about, you know, what that loss meant to the Lakers yesterday as far as the standings and everything else. So we're going to do that in just a second. Let me just find, there was a comment here I was looking at. Yeah, I'll come back to it. I'll try to find it here in a little bit. Before I do so, let's give a shout out to another one of our partners. Thank you to Harrah's Resort SoCal for being a partner on the channel. Thank you to iHeart AM 570 to help kind of put this whole thing together. Very excited to have Harrah's Resort on. If you're looking for a staycation and you're out here in Southern California, you're between 1 and 2 hours away. Wherever you are in SoCal, going out to Harrah's Resort, coming from LA, coming from San Diego, Orange County, whatever the case is, really beautiful drive. Once you get off that freeway, you're coming off the 15 freeway, you kind of start getting into this mountainous area, a lot of citrus trees and all that stuff. It truly is. If you're looking for a resort vacation, a chance to kind of relax, go check out Harrah's Resort SoCal. Just go to the website. You guys don't have to book anything, but just go to the website and just see everything that they have to offer. Restaurants, some of the best restaurants in all of SoCal. If you're a big beer fan, they got Rincon Brewery. Go try their Mexican lager, which is phenomenal. I could tell you firsthand. If you got family, kids, you want to spend some time at the pool, they got the Lazy River. They got the swim-up bar for the adults there. They got it all. And it's just a smart way to go on a staycation. And imagine when you got to go book 3 or 4 flights. You got round trip tickets. You got to leave your car at the airport. The headache of getting to the gate. All this stuff. Then you got to go rent a car. Number one, it's expensive. And number two, by the time you come back from your vacation, you feel like you need a vacation. Harrah's Resort SoCal, you get in your car, you're there within an hour or two. It's a beautiful place to stay, beautiful property. And they're supporting our obviously the channel, and they're one of our partners here. So I'd greatly appreciate if you're looking for a staycation to just consider Harrah's Resort SoCal. Last thing I'll say about Harrah's Resort, if you're going to book, use the link that we have in the description of this video. You get 20% off when you book. Restrictions do apply, but you do get 20% off. Shout out to Harrah's Resort SoCal. Okay, so this is what happened yesterday as well. What happened yesterday as well is you start looking at the standings, and the Lakers now are dangerously fighting something that, obviously everybody has a little bit of fear of. Playing tournament. I still don't think they're going to make I still don't think they have to worry about the playing tournament. But I've also been wildly wrong about everything else that I've been assessing around the Lakers over this last at least couple of weeks or so. I thought they would compete against Boston. They didn't. I thought they would beat Orlando. They didn't. I thought they would beat Phoenix. I thought they would handle Phoenix, not just beat them, handle them. They didn't. Okay, so what does this all mean? It means the Lakers now do not hold the tiebreaker against the Phoenix Suns. And it also means that the Lakers now are just one game in front of the play-in tournament. You know what's funny? Two things. Number one, I'm listening to Danny Green on Spectrum yesterday on the postgame show, and he's like, there was a time here that you thought a few games ago, the Lakers are looking up in front of them, and they're saying, hey, can you catch Houston? Can you catch Denver, Minnesota? And they still have a chance. I mean, obviously, still plenty of games. A lot of these teams in the Western Conference, to be honest with you, have been inconsistent, so we'll see what happens. But after these last few losses, Danny Green's like, you were looking in front of you, now you're looking behind you. And you're saying to yourself, freaking fall back into the play-in tournament. Does it not kind of remind you of the days where the Lakers used to have, think about this, when the Lakers used to always have these, the years with, how do I put this, with Anthony Davis and LeBron, and the conversation is always about they're going to make, can they avoid the play-in tournament? Lakers have kind of put themselves in this position. I thought Brian Windhorst said something so perfect a little bit. He said something, you know what, let's see actually if we can play it, because Windhorst says something that to me describes the current status of the Lakers and basically what's going to happen in the offseason. And the question just becomes, as the Lakers, like I said, are in danger of making the play-in tournament or being in the play-in tournament, just one game in front of the Phoenix Suns. I thought Brian Windhorst explained their current situation and then also explained kind of, well, what's to come based off of it. It's about a minute-long clip, but I want you guys to take a listen to Brian Windhorst.
Together. And this is not an insult to Luka. It's not an insult to LeBron. It's not saying they hate each other. It's not like some headline thing. They are too similar to each other. And the data shows it. When they play, Greeny, they're a bad team. They're a bad offensive team. So this is really just a product of what they are. Early in the season, they pretty much won every clutch game. They won their first 13 clutch games, but it was a fake. It was a fake record. And now the worm is turning on them. And JJ set up great offensive plays the last 2 games to get shots at the end of the games. Beautiful job by the coaching staff. You don't win all the clutch games. Yeah. So you don't get into clutch games. They're just an average team, and they're going to blow it up in the offseason, and everybody knows this, and we'll just go through the process and enjoy it.
All right, that's the part that I really want. They're just an average team, and they're just going to blow it all up in the offseason. Is it just me, or does that, however this season ends up? So let's just say hypothetically they're a part of the play-in tournament. Let's just say hypothetically they're out they're not a part of the play-in tournament. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. But what I thought was, you're going to go one round in the playoffs. Maybe you win a round. I would lean more towards they would win a round, and now that's completely all out of the picture. I don't know what happens from here, but I think what he just said, and then they're going to blow it all up in the offseason. I mean, could there be a positive here? Could the positive be that it's gone so bad in the sense of how things are going right now that the worse it looks the rest of the way, the more drastic changes you would have in the offseason? I mean, who would you keep in the offseason? Who on this Lakers team right now are you saying to yourself, hey, I'd like to keep that player, I'd like to keep this player? I mean, I could say Luka, AR. I would say I like Marcus Smart. I know he's not the most consistent player, but I like Marcus Smart. LaRavia, I would keep. I mean, how many players are you keeping from this current roster? There isn't this, oh my gosh, you got all these different players that you can have and you could highlight. So that's certainly not the case for the Lakers. But the whole blow it up by the time you get to the offseason, that is the one thing that is happening. That's the one thing that I'll acknowledge more than anything else. The one thing I'll acknowledge more than anything else is the expectations for the Lakers now are only going to get louder and louder come the offseason. Guys, Luka's 26. You got to start building the right team around him. The question marks about, well, how do you build something that's sustainable? You got new ownership that there's going to be more and more expectations of, well, new ownership is going to save the Lakers. By the time you do get to the offseason, whenever it is, if it's after the first round, if it's after the second round, we know it's not going to go any further than that. But whenever it is, the expectations now are only going to get louder. And I love Windhorst saying, you kind of know what you are. They're a very average team, and they're going to blow it all up in the offseason. That's probably the best way of describing it and the quickest way of describing what the present and what the future is for the Lakers. All right, let's take a look at some of these comments here. Let's try to get to as many of these as we possibly can as we go from here. It all starts with, let me see here. Comments coming in too fast. Slow down, everybody. Slow down. It all starts with Rob Pelinka. Since Braun came, no shooting, no defense, no center for AD, traded for a crybaby. Well, I don't think anybody's upset that they traded for Luka Doncic. I think the question is how you're going to build around Luka. Trade everybody. Sign and trade Reaves. Jake, Luka, Jax. If Austin wants to start, I'm trading him too. Well, I think next year, I mean, it's going to be very tough to be paying a guy 35 a year and then, not having him in the starting lineup. I don't think you're going to be seeing that. So I'll bet you an entire month worth of coffees. Man, relax here. You see how expensive coffee is? Take a deep breath. Entire month of coffees that the Lakers won't even make the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. And by the way, you want to make that bet? Let's make that bet. Okay. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. I think that part. Listen, and they might make the playoffs not even because of what they did that's special. They just might make the playoffs because the Warriors are injured, because Phoenix is injured. I mean, they could make the postseason because other teams just weren't healthy. Not necessarily because they're great, not necessarily because it's something that they did. It's because of that. So, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with that. All right, let me send a quick text here. We're going to get Brad to come in the studio here, and he'll hang out with us as well. Lakers, by the way, do play the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings this weekend, so they're going to have some games coming up this weekend as well. I know I had a super in here. Let me see if I can get to one of these supers here. 5 out of 7 years with LeBron, the Lakers have gone out in the first round or missed the playoffs. Why are you surprised, Lee? It's a Hollywood remake. There's something to that. Definitely something to that. I don't think that's all on LeBron. I think you could look at roster construction. I think there's a lot of angles here. John, I appreciate the super, brother, but I definitely think there's some angles to that. But I am surprised. I am surprised that they're going through this type of a stretch here. All right, enough of me running my mouth here. That's enough. We get the hospitality of Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, and then we get Brad Wallace joining us. What's going on? B. Wallace. What's up, brother?
How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Good.
Everybody's
Good.
fighting on the chat today.
I
you
love
know?
it. Love
Can
it.
you blame them?
Your people are fired up. I love it.
Can you blame them? How are you doing? First off,
I'm good.
doing good.
It's great to have you.
Thanks for
Doing
thank you
great.
for the hospitality. By the way, this is the in-house coffee. I just want to compliment whatever you guys got working on over there.
Listen, it's our pleasure.
It's nice coffee. Put probably 2 packs of sugar. I don't need that many packs of sugar, but I appreciate it.
It's all good.
All right, let me start off with this, because I know obviously you're as big of a fan as it comes when it comes to Lakers basketball. Shout out, of course. You guys know Brad's been on the show a couple different times, and obviously a phenomenal partner, and ways to kind of grow the channel and everything else is to have good partners like you. So thank you for being a loyal partner of the channel. I appreciate that.
Of course. We're
All right.
happy to support.
Now we get right into the meat of it.
Yes.
Give me your observation of what are the Lakers right now as you kind of try to look. They struggled against teams over 500. I've been kind of shocked, honestly, some of the losses that they had. I really thought they'd put up a fight against Boston. I thought they'd beat Orlando yesterday. You can describe it any way you want. What are the Lakers right now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is going to be like a hot take or anything like that. Obviously, I'm a lifelong Lakers fan. I'm a loyal Lakers guy. But I think my takeaway on the Lakers this season is that at 10 games over 500, number 6 seed in the West, they've actually overachieved, not underachieved.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the point differential, which talked about at length, they're literally the only team in the NBA with a negative point differential that has a winning above 500 record.
I think might even be, of the teams that are in the playoffs, that would be in the playoffs, I think they're the only team.
Well, they're the only team with a winning record above 500.
Mm-hmm.
So every other team in the NBA that gets scored on more than they score has an under 500 record, meaning just from a point differential standpoint, the Lakers are overachieving. They're 10 games over 500. So I think in a way, what's weird about this Lakers team is that their record makes them feel better,
like they're better than they really are.
Than they actually are. And
I disagree with that.
You know, they talked about early in the season, you know, all of these clutch games. The Lakers were undefeated in clutch games. Well, typically that's a metric that's going to regress back to the mean. And that's
last 2 games it has.
And that's what you're seeing, right? You can't go a whole season and win
13-0 or whatever, however
game,
they started, right?
So that was masking early on that they weren't really even as good as their record. And I think it comes down to a couple of things. Number one, they're just not good defensively. They can't stop anybody. When they've played the elite teams, they've just been exposed, whether it's San Antonio, OKC, Boston, it doesn't matter. Any of these like top tier teams, which are teams that you're going to have to get through in any playoff series.
11-16 now against teams over 500.
Yeah, they're just not stopping anybody defensively, which makes it really hard to be a consistent winning team, especially in an NBA playoff series, beating a team 4 out of 7. You have to be able to get stops. So they're just not good defensively. But number 2 is, and you've talked about it, it feels weird to say because you have Luka, LeBron, and Reaves on the roster, but it really is a transition season, right? Because there's a couple of things going on behind the scenes with the Lakers organization and the roster structure. Number one is you have this whole new ownership regime that's coming in. You know, they bought the team for $10 billion. They've made all these announcements recently. They promoted Lon Rosen to head of basketball operations, replacing Tim Harris.
Business operations.
Business operations after 35 years. So that's a big change. He came over from the Dodgers, but he's been around the Lakers organization since the Magic eras. And he's one of Mark Walter's, you know, trusted guys. And then they just hired Tony Bennett, former college coach, to be like an advisor to Pelinka for draft analytics.
I think a big hire.
Yeah,
I think it might not sound. I was doing this on the show yesterday. There are things that are going to happen that are not sexy. You run your own business, and you run your own business. I'm sure there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that maybe your employees don't even understand, that might not sound sexy, but could completely change the structure of your business.
Well, right.
And that's their process.
Yeah. And I think that's the point. You look at the way that Mark Walter has run the Dodgers, and, that's a whole separate conversation right now. People are trying to use the Dodgers as the example of why MLB needs a salary cap because they spend so much money. But what doesn't get talked about is just the fact that top to bottom, the Dodgers organization is outperforming every organization in the league. They have a better farm system. They have better scouting. They have better analytics. They have better facilities. They have better, scouts out there that are looking at prospects.
I would say this. I'd make the argument of this. Let me use the baseball example. If there is a salary cap tomorrow in baseball, it doesn't mean the Dodgers aren't still really, really good.
Right.
That's the signal of, is it a well-run organization or it's not? I think that to me is, I say that as an example because if you told me, and this is more talking about Mark Walter, ownership group, and what's going to eventually happen to the Lakers, and it's going to take a second. It's going to take some time. But if you told me tomorrow, hey, the Dodgers are only dependent on outspending other teams. Don't get me wrong. They are outspending. They're obviously throwing crazy money out there. They're not only dependent on outspending teams.
Correct.
That's one way that they have advantages over other squads. But
Correct.
I'm just, again,
yeah.
Where did Will Smith come from? I could go through a handful of players that will also come through the Dodgers organization with cases,
right.
which is a good sign for the Lakers because you can't just outspend on roster building.
Correct.
You can outspend on front office
building.
building.
And it's even more important in the NBA because the NBA does have a salary cap, which means the just outspending teams component of the competitive advantage gets taken away. So in the NBA, you actually need to be able to win at the edges.
Got to dot your I's.
Yeah, you
got to cross your
T's.
You
have to, one or two bad contracts on your roster weighs you down. And so that kind of gets to the larger point, which is from a transitional year standpoint, it's, I disagree with Brian Windhorst when he says, we're just waiting for the Lakers to blow it up. There's no blowing it up. There's just what is going to happen with the team's contracts after this season. So if you look at it, after this season, the only real guys on this year's team that contribute in the rotation that are under contract without any player option, re-signing, unrestricted free agency are Luka, Vanderbilt, and LaRavia. Okay. So that's it. So if you want to say, oh, they're going to blow up, it's not, they don't have to do anything to blow it up.
Just literally their contracts will expire.
Yeah. Just by virtue of it going into next season, the roster makeup is going to drastically change because guys are coming off the books. Obviously the most newsworthy one is LeBron's $50 million. And I think that there is a lot that has to do with this LeBron piece from a couple of different angles. Number one is strictly from a salary cap angle. It's $50 million of your cap that you're giving to a guy who's in his 23rd season, who's obviously one of the greatest players of all time.
But he's not LeBron.
It's
anymore.
Just not what it used to be. And that's without even getting into the fact that the skill set and the need to have the ball in his hands is a little bit duplicative of your superstar that you just signed to this massive contract extension, who's in his prime in his late 20s and who Mark Walter and the new ownership group really came in to build around. Right. So there's that. But then there's kind of the politics behind the scene, but between, they don't want to publicly say anything negative about LeBron because of his equity in the league, his, what he did for the organization to come when he did over, and how he's helped kind of sustain the franchise over the last, 7-8 years that he's been here.
And that's all real.
Yeah. Respect.
I was going to say, and that's
for
not
LeBron, respect for the league, all those kinds of things.
I don't think that's forced. I think that is real.
Right. And I think Luka is of the same mindset. He might not behind the scenes be thrilled with the roster makeup or the fact that LeBron is, taking up that much cap space, but Luka also has respect for the game, respect for LeBron, respect for what LeBron has done. So he's not going to come out and publicly say anything. But that's all kind of going on behind the scenes. And then, it used to be where LeBron would go to whatever team he would want to go to, and he would dictate the terms.
He had all the control
of whatever he wanted to dictate. And this is the first time in his career where
doesn't have the leverage.
He's not even being offered, an extension. The front office has essentially given no indication that they have any interest in him coming back. And so that's a little bit of a power struggle. But in fairness to Mark Walter, if you pay $10 billion per team, you're not going to be approaching it like the Cleveland Cavaliers to let LeBron James run your franchise. You're just not. You're going to run it your way. So I think
unless listen, here's the reality. I think he would allow that if it was 5 years ago. Just not. Right? LeBron's not the same player.
Right. So it's kind of what they want to do with Luka.
I was just going to say, if you're going to put all your assets, or if you're going to put all your attention towards one of your assets, it's going to be Luka. Here's the one thing I will say, because I think most Laker fans do have kind of this excitement of what the future can be. But I want to bring you back to just today here for a quick second. I think clearly the Lakers have some holes. What's LeBron going to do? Luka, LeBron, AR, those stats don't look good when those three are playing together. AR, I don't think
to me that doesn't matter because they're not winning it this year.
But my point that I was going to say,
LeBron won't be back next year.
Which you're right. But I think in the middle of this season, I think the frustration that people have is, why are you losing to the Phoenix Suns when they're so limited? I mean, if I just went through these last 3 games and I told you that Tatum, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, Devin Booker, Dylan Brooks, I get that there's a future for the Lakers. I get the direction that they're going in. But I also have an issue with, you're still in this season, and at least you could try to maximize it to the best that you can. And maybe that's a first-round exit. Maybe at best that's a second-round exit. They're losing games now that you're just like, okay, we could say the team's over 500, all that. How do they lose yesterday?
Yeah.
How do you have a 10, 12-point lead and blow that to the Phoenix Suns?
Right. I think there's multiple aspects to it. Obviously, it's roster construction, where you have some of these contracts that are just pulling down. But even in a scenario like last night where you have everybody healthy against a team that is missing a couple of their main guys, you're seeing around the league now more and more with obviously OKC, but you look at a team like Detroit or, some of these other teams where you got to have talented rookie level contract guys that are going to contribute in the rotation and provide meaningful minutes, not just like, for the team's success, but also the young legs who are chasing down,
energy guys,
closing out on threes and, getting up and down and playing with speed and intensity. And the Lakers really don't have that. Their young guys are Bronny James, Dalton Connect, and Adu Tiero.
Yeah.
And so the Lakers don't have, like a small group of young, talented guys they can throw out there. They've tried to pull up some guys from the G League. It hasn't worked. And so I think that speaks to what the Lakers are really trying to fix from a front office standpoint, because with the salary cap, with the model of you having 2, maybe 3 max guys and a couple kind of mid-level contracts, think about it too, like Jared Vanderbilt's contract is $12.5 million a year. It kind of seemed like a good deal when he signed it, but now he's on the books for $12.5 million next year, and he can't shoot the basketball. Jake LaRavia is on the books next year for $6 million. He's twice as valuable as Vanderbilt and making half the money.
I agree with you.
You have player options next year. Obviously, Austin Reaves is the big one that everyone talks about. And he's not going to opt into his 12 and whatever million. He's going to opt out and be eligible for a max deal, which I think the Lakers will sign him to, just to have that as an asset, and a potential trade piece with the 3 draft picks they'll have over the summer. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers and Giannis trade thing comes together, even if it's a 3-team deal. because that's what they're targeting to get a superstar to play with Luka. It's either Giannis or, Jokic are the two like most obvious choices. But you also have, and I know you spent some time this morning talking about your frustration about Deandre Ayton. I will just say, for the rest of the season, Alan, we need to be Deandre Ayton fans. We need to be gassing this guy up. Why?
Wait,
he has an $8 million
you want to gas
option.
him up so he signs somewhere else in the offseason.
We want his value to skyrocket
course.
so that he opts out and signs somewhere else. Because if not, and he has no other prospects because
then
they look at his numbers,
stay with the Lakers.
He's going to opt back in for $8 million, and we're going to be back with Deandre Ayton next season.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem with the Ayton piece. The Ayton piece of you got to gas him up and promote him and all that stuff. Here's the problem with Deandre Ayton. Everybody was excited when Ayton came because they knew Portland was going to be paying for most of it because of the scenario that you just laid out about, hey, he can use the Lakers as that gap year to eventually get a contract somewhere else.
It was a low cost kind of a thing, but
100%.
they gave him a second year.
And maybe that was the only way they were going to get him, right? The only way they were going to get him is based off of that. The problem is, do you believe Ayton's going to do something different in order to change that? Now, maybe there's going to be a team out there that says, hey, we'll give him 2 years, $20 million, $10 million a year. We need a center. We don't have. Maybe there's a team that does that, but
that's why we need JJ Redick to be drawing up plays and featuring him. We need them to feed him the ball, and we need him to average 22 and 10 for the rest of the season so that does happen.
Yeah.
And we're not stuck with this guy for next year because he is, it was okay to take a flyer on him, but if we're stuck with him in year 2, it's not going to be good for
and I don't think you want him. I don't think you want him in that mix either.
But the other unrestricted free agents, obviously LeBron, I don't see any scenario, even if he says I'll take the vet minimum, I still don't think
I'm with you
that they bring him back because of the team culture and they have to just move on.
Yep.
You also have Rui, unrestricted free agent. It's, I would say, not likely that he's back with the team. Maxi Kleber, Luke Kennard, Jackson Hayes. So the roster is going to look different next year by virtue of the turnover of the new basketball season and the contracts, but they're not blowing it up like Brian Windhorst is making everybody think, that it's
the term is wrong.
It's they're lighting themselves on fire and, getting rid of everybody. And, it's basketball.
I think the term he used is wrong because blowing it up means all these guys are under contract and you got to go trade 3-4 guys. That's not going to happen.
Right.
But I think just the concept of probably 80% of these guys that are on this team probably won't be part of the team. 75% of these guys won't be on the team. I think that's more of what he's referring to. Well, they still got to play out. I mean, you got, obviously 24 games, something like that left. What do you want to see the rest of the way? And we'll wrap it up with this. What are you hoping to see? And understanding that the summer is going to be important, understanding, like you said, the new infrastructure, understanding that this organization is going to look so much different over the next couple of years. We're still got 24 games left this year and potential round or two in the playoffs. What would you like to see the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think for me, like I said before, because I don't feel that they have any legitimate chance to make a run this year and looking forward to next year in terms of what they're building for and what they're building around. To me, what I would like to see is for Luka to take a little bit of a step up for the rest of the season in terms of just kind of taking over, stepping up on the defensive side, having the conversations with the refs and, calling for, asking for foul call, like bring that down a little bit.
Sure.
Just lock in. And, listen, when he took Dallas to the finals, even though they had some better complementary pieces for him, some lob threats and things like that, their roster wasn't all that much more talented than what the Lakers have around Luka. So what I would like to see personally, because of what the team is going to be next year and how they're building around, is I would like to just see Luka take over in the last handful of games, go total Kobe full, hero ball mode, average 40, 10 and 10, and see how far he can take them on his back rather than, try to defer to this current roster that's not going to be around him next year anyways. So, I don't think Luka has hit, a level of like maximum output this season. He's played okay. His numbers have been fantastic. I feel like he came into the season out of the summer looking like he was in really, really, really elite shape.
Yep.
And I don't think that he's necessarily, it doesn't, at least to me, look like that's been fully sustained over the season. He hasn't regressed back to where, Nico Harrison is calling him out of shape or anything like that.
Sure.
But he was chiseled coming out of the summer. He was like, he looked like,
No, he looked like a different
he looked
person.
like an ad out of Bodybuilder magazine or something.
He looked different, completely different.
I'd like to see Luka just kind of reestablish himself as like a top 3 guy and just go crazy down the stretch and then have everybody else kind of ride his coattails and see how far they can go. Maybe they can win a series, maybe not. Maybe they can, get into the Western Conference Finals, maybe not. But I don't think that they're, if you're a Laker fan and you're holding your breath that maybe we can be hoisting the Larry O'Brien at the end of the season, I think you can maybe
feel very comfortable not,
holding drink a glass of cold water and kind of take a breather on that one and realize that our record's probably better than what the team actually is and just enjoy it for what it is, knowing that next season is going to be the first kind of full season where we start to see the new
changes.
Ownership
Good point.
really put their stamp on it. And then I'm excited to see what they build around Luka and what superstars they can potentially trade for. Or we're going to have a ton of cap space. I think as much cap space as any team in the league. They're still a premier destination, not only in terms of SoCal, but the Lakers brand combined with the Walter ownership group, combined with playing with Luka. The future's bright, but this season is the lights are dimming.
That's the big one that I think you said, that I think if you're another player, it'd be one thing if you said everything you just said. It's the Laker brand, it's SoCal, it's, what that can do for your own personal brand. But I think the biggest thing that you said there is a proven new ownership coming in where it's about winning. Not that they don't try to make money, not that all this, but their pedigree of business, be very successful with the product on the floor. Everything else will take care of itself. And I think that's the thing that will differentiate the Lakers from, because you could sit on the brand for as long as you want, but at the end of the day, if you keep going back to the restaurant, you're like, I don't know, the food's not all that good. You have a new ownership group that I think is going to improve the quality of the food.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yep. Great stuff, brother.
All right, brother.
You can't look at this. Guy had notes coming in here. He had the whole salary cap was figured out. He already figured everything out.
I'm not going to remember all this.
Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, by the way, I didn't know it was only 3. I didn't know it was only 3. That was already
Rob
in my head.
Pelinka has a little bit more of a sophisticated system of figuring out our salary cap situation than my Post-it note that I made
Pelinka
5
could have
minutes
walked in
before
with
you
Mark Walter and just said, "Hey,
invited
listen,
me on."
I want to talk about the current structure for this upcoming offseason." This could have been all that he had.
Listen, I think this was actually the entire pitch deck that caused Mark Walter to put down $10 billion. Like, it just takes one Post-it note.
Might be right.
And that's all you need.
You might be right there.
So, but I feel like we just cracked the code a little bit. We had a nice little breakdown.
That was the present and the future.
Yeah.
And let's just say the future looks a lot brighter than the present.
Let's just say to all your listeners and followers out there, let's give Alan a little love in the comments today. This guy is an animal.
What happened? I didn't even know what I did.
Day in, day out. He's here for us. He's on air. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, pregame, postgame. I mean, this guy is the epitome of dedication, hard work.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
We love you. We support you. And Thank you for having me on.
I appreciate you, of course, being here, being a part of the channel. So thank you for coming on.
Take care, everyone. Have a good day. Have a great weekend.
We get coffee after this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. All right. Good stuff there from Brad Wallace. All right. Listen, the guy knows his ball, all right? If there's one thing that I could tell everybody is the guy obviously knows his basketball. All right, great stuff there. I appreciate you guys hanging out for that. Guy loves basketball, loves talking basketball, so I wanted to get him in. Obviously, I'm here doing the show from his studios. I know we went a little bit longer today, so shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Of course, shout out to obviously what they're doing and what he's done for the channel. I can't emphasize to you guys, running a business, you got to have partners. You got to have good, loyal partners. That helps to grow the channel. I mean, I have a producer now in the background. I only have all this stuff because of you guys and then obviously the partnerships that are going on. Okay, final thing we're going to do here, and we're going to get the hell out of here after this because we're already $1:20 in. I got the weekend preview. Lakers got a couple of games this upcoming weekend as well. I'll try to look at a couple of comments before we get out of here and go from there. Let me do this here real quick. Let me find it. Where the hell is it? Everybody stay calm. All right, weekend preview, of course, presented by the Wallace Firm. Here's what we got going on for the weekend. Lakers got a game coming up tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. They're 31-28. By the way, that game's nationally televised at 5:30, so Saturday, 5:30 tip-off. I'll do the post-game show right after. Then on Sunday, Lakers got another game coming up against the Sacramento Kings, 6:30 tip-off. So something to keep in mind, 2 games coming up for the Lakers over the weekend. I just said that the Lakers got to go 4-0 in their next 4 games. They already lost one to the Phoenix Suns yesterday, so whatever you think about that. If you're looking for NBA games tonight, couple good ones. Couple decent games tonight. Cavs and the Pistons, even though the Cavs got some injuries. And then the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's obviously a really nice game as well. A lot of good matchups in the NBA. So if you're not watching good Lakers basketball, at least you can watch some other teams play. We get a couple final supers in, and then we're going to call it a day. Luka's defense so bad. Lakers sign and trade AR for wings. I like actually what Brad said, and I think this is the big thing that we'll continue to point out. Keep Austin Reaves, and whatever you got to do with him after that, do with him. If him and AR are phenomenal, or if him and Luka are phenomenal together, great. If they're not, plan accordingly. If you need to use him to go get the piece that you need to go gain in the offseason, then use him for that. Now, he's going to have leverage too. It's going to be up to him as well if the Lakers are trying to trade him somewhere. A miracle being 10 games over 500. Mr. Wallace, can you please sue Rob? Okay, all right, everybody relax here. Relax. We're always getting into legal battles here. Okay, get another one here. Brad, how many more shots you want Luka to take? Lost me there. I was with you until the last Luka comment. I get what he's trying to say. What he's trying to say is none of these players Luka's going to be playing with the rest of the year. Really what I think he's saying is this season, nothing's going to happen this year. I think if you're worried about this season, obviously it's got to be a collection of players that contribute. So that's the best way to put it right there. Thank you very much for the super, by the way. Really, really appreciate that. Sliwa, we need to chow on Ayton. Right now, we need to build up ops so he opts and leaves. Yeah, I don't know. I get that, but that's on him. There's nothing that we're going to be able to do. So, I don't know what you want me to tell you in regards to that. My people, that's all we got for the day. It's all we got for the week. Solid week. Thank you to everybody being here. Shout out, obviously, to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm for taking care of us today. And I'm back on tomorrow after the Lakers take on the Golden State Warriors. Another game coming up on Sunday. And then, of course, Monday, we're back on at 8 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of the show. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Friday. I will see you guys tomorrow after the Lakers and the Warriors.